Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Milan Kohut, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced, the lessons learned, and the strategies fueling future growth. Today, I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by Austin Witt, the founder and head coach at Fitt Wave, a platform delivering personalized fitness coaching focused on sustainable physique transformation. With years of experience training clients remotely across 6 countries, he specializes in muscle building and fat loss programs that adapt to real life demands. His Instagram showcases clients' results like 15-pound muscle gains and shredded aesthetics, proving his methods cut through the fitness noise with practical, no-nonsense accountability. With that being said, Austin, let me officially welcome you to Founders Future.
Thanks, Milan. I really appreciate you letting us come on here today to talk about Fitt Wave and how we got started and a little bit more information about how we can help others. So let's get into it.
This is going to be a great conversation. There is lots that I want to cover. So let's just jump right into the conversation. What I love to do at the beginning of every single episode is a bit of traveling back in time. So briefly, even before having this company, what was the journey like? What were you doing before? And then eventually, what was the motivation for launching the business?
Such a good question. What led me up into this, I would say, was when I was probably 10 or 11 years old. I was diagnosed with several comorbidities that I had to deal with for up until this point and continue. And one of the things was there's not a lot of clarity within data-based healthcare, and we just didn't have the technology at the time to understand where we could essentially look at the root cause of comorbidities and what may be causing lifestyle problems. So my whole life I was struggling with like poor digestion, just brain fog, a lot of issues within kind of these realms, and I never understood why. I went to the doctor, went to several health practitioners, and it's just we couldn't find an answer. And so my whole life I felt like I was just trying to investigate why I felt just not great all the time. I would function by going day to day, doing what everyone else was doing, but just felt way worse. And so what it came down to was pursuing a degree in this, pursuing a master's degree, continuing to educate myself, working in a clinical setting, and finding some of the, like, I would say, holes in the system, and then being able to identify how do we solve those problems. And so by utilizing healthcare data now, we can at least get a better picture of where things are moving forward. And I think, if anything, there are more things coming out now than ever. So, great question.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of people who are just going to be listening to this and just nodding their head like, true. Public
Yeah.
healthcare systems, there's a lot of those moments where there's something wrong. And even despite visiting a lot of health professionals, you're not getting any answers. And it seems like going through this journey of personal struggles yourself and asking the right questions and getting those answers over time, you basically created a business opportunity out of it, which is lovely to see. So I'm pretty sure that there was a lot of adjusting along the way just to find that final clarity in terms of how you're going to follow up on your promises when it comes to providing these services. But let's talk about where the journey got you overall and what the business really looks like today. Because my goal in this part of the episode is really just build some clarity for the listeners in terms of who is it exactly that you want to help right now, and also what are the core offerings that you have in place for those clients.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So go ahead and tell us all about it.
Yeah, so really what we were able to do is come pretty much a long way from zero. Like, we bootstrapped our way up to currently our revenue. And with that being said, we have potential investors, things along those lines, who are looking at our system and our company, who want to invest and be a part of a healthcare system that uses data to its advantage, and working with healthcare providers, not necessarily against them, it's more of parallel with them on a more holistic journey. So if we're looking at adults mostly who are in their mid 20s to ideally mid 40s, is how do we set ourselves up for retirement think of it like investing, right? So if we're setting ourselves up for retirement earlier than later, there's a better ROI or better return. Same with health. The parallel of investing and health go hand in hand, and especially when you utilize data effectively. The thing I always say is we can't predict the stock market or like the markets, but we can predict somewhat of where your health is going based on your decisions and lifestyle. So when it comes to utilizing data effectively, which has been amazing to see like all of the new stuff that's coming out. It's not necessarily that we're trying to micromanage your healthcare where it's every single day, every single second, but we're trying to look at an average of data points over time, like weight. We're looking at cardiovascular risk factors, labs, like all those things, and we look at them over an average of time. And so if you're, like I said, setting yourself up for your 60s or having want to have kids or grandkids, or if you just want to be a healthier person in general and really be there for your family long term, that's what we're trying to do is make sure that they're set up early, successfully, and make sure we get results. And what we're finding is that high performers who are investing in their health, we work with a lot of high-end clients. And so what they notice is the ROI is much greater when we're able to utilize this data effectively and make sure that they have personalized one-on-one service. The classic model of health coaching, which came from a lot of one-on-one activity, which is still great and effective for those who have never gone through this journey, that's a good way to get started. We're looking at the individuals who are like, man, I feel stuck. I feel like things are not moving at the rate that I'd like to see. I feel frustrated. That's the adults that we're working with is we're just above that learning curve of just getting started and
Hmm.
getting past the plateaus, getting past all these frustrating barriers that our New Year's resolutions that we did for 30 days and now we can't do it anymore. So that's what we're trying to do is communicate effectively daily by making sure we utilize healthcare data, meeting the person where they're at and making sure that they feel empowered so that long term they feel good.
Yeah. Would you say that, like, retrospectively looking back at all of the clients that you work with, that everything that you do is provided on a one-on-one basis, or have you also dabbled into group coaching sessions and similar models?
That's such a good question. When we first started out, we did a lot more group-based coaching to just understand how we can use community to drive one like more of the one-on-one performance. So it was an introduction of using group coaching. Now we use the model similar to that, but we flip-flop it where we focus on the individual first, make sure they're confident and competent in like what they are trying to achieve. Then we introduce them into a group setting additional, so it's still one-on-one, but we add in the additional community component so that if it is, let's say New Year's or a New Year's resolution and it's February 1st and they're like, oh, I completely went off the rails and like life got in the way. That's where what we do is we establish getting a really good one-on-one personal build up. And then what we do is we introduce them to a community of support to make sure that whether they're here in the United States or different countries around the world, they're supported all throughout their journey, no matter where their location is at. And not necessarily just in a gym-based environment. It's online, working with individuals on our platform specifically.
Yeah.
Great question.
It's a, you know what, I feel like for a lot of people, when it comes to their own health and weight transformation, whatever the case might be for them, it is a game changer to be a part of something bigger than themselves and have that kind of ownership and accountability with that
Hmm.
situation because it's tough to keep it consistent. I went through a journey of myself and I lost almost 100 pounds. And I
Wow.
know that it was, yeah, yeah. And I know that when you connect with people who are pretty much going through the same journey, it is very inspiring to stay in touch with those people and keep yourself accountable, but also them. So,
Yeah.
like I said, this can be a game changer for a lot of people. Now, when it comes to this, I also want to get your perspective on something else because I just realized when I asked you about doing this in a group model, there is a lot of people in your industry who, over the past few years, have been really pivoting towards that group model, but not
Hmm.
only from the perspective of having more impact on a lot more people, but also if you look at it through the lenses of a business owner, it just makes more sense in terms of that scalability and your
Hmm.
ability to keep growing and scaling, right? When it comes to this, obviously you still have an alternative of hiring other assistant coaches working under you, same methodology, same systems, or you can scale using those groups. So this is the big question. When you think about that scalability model within your own company, what is it going
Hmm.
to
Yeah, good question. So we're moving into the group model more along the lines of, like you said, scalability, but hiring out professionals who are also just as good, if not better than me. So there's some areas that I'm not an expert coach in, to be honest. So for example, like we've just put on several events this past year and 2 years, to be honest, of in-person client-based coaching models similar to like High Rocks training or CrossFit group training or F45 or things along those lines once a month with these specialists. And then what we do is we follow up individually afterwards. So it's creating the community of support, very similar to anyone who's going through this process, whether it's a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, and grouping them based on cohorts of, hey, if you're a beginner and you just want to get your feet wet and want to try this out, like this is for you in the community-based setting. And what we do realize is that this is scalable because we don't have a brick and mortar so that we're stuck to one area. We can actually go to different locations. So we've gone to Guatemala specifically and done a fitness-based retreat there. It's we've done several events here in the United States, but in different locations. But what we're really trying to do is utilize like the mobile system of, hey, we have an app that connects people. We let them know of events if they sign up. And then what that does is they're now into our funnel of, hey, here's events all over. If you're available to these locations, that's great. If you're not, you're in a online group where we can see all of the accountability stuff that we're measuring, that you have support, that you have the ability to meet others where they're at and make sure that you're growing in that relationship versus just being like, all right, this is a group fitness class. Let's just go and see how it happens. It's okay. You're connecting with people at your level. And so that's what we're really trying to do is create different opportunities for people all over the United States. And we've gone into different countries as well. But the biggest thing is at the end of the day is creating the scalability so that we have both individuals who are experts in the field, but also the huge connection piece. And so far it's been working. So we're going to keep continuing and testing, retesting as we go. So
There's a very neat hybrid kind of model, and I like that.
exactly. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And this is a great source of leads. You doing those events, obviously, it allows you to truly connect with that target audience and let them know who you are, what you're all about. So this is a great touch point. And when it comes to this, obviously, that is one of those big questions when it comes to creating that client acquisition system. So when it comes to this, let's take a look deeper into that strategy. What is it that you do with your own marketing right now? And maybe specifically generating those contacts and leads to have the ability to consistently onboard new clients and keep changing lives.
Yeah, so we focus on the human first. We utilize AI in a lot of our marketing technology. I think it's super, super effective in growing and scaling. But when it comes to like us reaching out, it's actually a human reaching out and being like, hey, we generally care about you and want to make sure that you're doing well. I think post-pandemic is something that with the growth of AI, which has been super amazing, to be honest. But when it comes to connecting with other humans, there has been an isolation based experience. And what we're seeing from a market trend when it comes to just general growth of the fitness industry, people are spending, I think Americans are predicted to spend $60 billion in the economy on just healthcare regarding fitness based things. Now, in that bubble, it's like finding people who are going to meet you where you're at, where things are specific, where are you getting your returns from the specific expert coach based on your goals. So that's where when we're reaching out to people to join our events, it's free. We're trying to give as much value as we can initially, along with our resources, so that people can at least educate them and share our information with others, not gatekeeping, but giving them the insights. Because going back to my 10-year-old self, or even my 18-year-old self, or 25-year-old self, those are questions that like you said it earlier, is what are you asking yourself in these appointments with your doctor? What are you asking? And so this gives people insights and clarity to have this background to say, hey, like I'm noticing this, like maybe I should ask questions or at least connect with someone who's going through this process the same. Because with you losing 100 pounds, like that's another huge example. There are a lot of roadblocks and questions that you're going to have along your journey. And so having a person that like generally cares who's in your corner, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I love that. And also, Austin, when it comes to being so strategic about the approach and how to really get connected with all of those people, but also having the ability to truly fulfill on your promises, there is a lot that goes into it on a daily basis. Now, you've already said that you're leveraging the potential of AI, which is super cool. I would agree with you. It's an amazing what is happening with the evolution of it. But at the same time, there has to be the human aspect of it all. I'm curious, would you say that you're building this ecosystem within the company that will allow other people continually joining you and joining the cause, whether that's some help for the marketing stuff, whether that's sales process, whether that's fulfillment, whatever the case might be? Or looking at the future, would you rather maybe just keep it more like smaller but sustainable and run it mainly as a one-man show?
That is a great question. I would love to scale and grow out. I think it's taking it a piece at a time to make sure that our markets are met for who we're targeting, right? So if we're doing a hybrid model, for example, and we're reaching people across the United States or let's say even in different countries, right? We want to make sure that person is met with someone who knows and understands them best. So if we're scaling, yes, the micro of having a small person who's think of it like a large gym model, right? So if you're like think of Gold's Gym or something very recognizable, people who are franchising those gyms, those owners make the difference for this. And so that's eventually what we want to try to get into, not necessarily franchising, but the similar model concept where it's, oh, you're in the DC market or you're in Texas or you're in California in the United States or you're in a different country, right? Like you're specialized to that area. You know it best. You're the expert. I'm not going to be able to come in and say, I know everything, right? And that's what we want to give people the ability with our employees is, okay, you're buying a product within this fitness industry that's specific to this, to you, that you're thinking of yourself in this situation, putting yourself in their shoes. And then additionally, it's like they also have the expertise in coaching to guide you in where you're at in your journey. So that's where we're really trying to make sure that when we're setting up different locations based on what we've done and we're trying to give back as much as we can to that area or community, how do we do that effectively? And so that's the scalability that we're going to work with. Now, the details and all the data and all that stuff for marketing stuff, that really is helpful with AI because we have the ability to just dig into the data points and be able to create really good systems within that. That's where having both a human-based person who's in their environment or online who understands them best, that's what we're trying to do is meet them where they're at when it comes down to it. Does that make sense, or would you like
It
any
does
more?
make a lot of sense. Yeah, it absolutely does.
Okay.
Now, Austin, looking at the future and the kind of the vision that you've created for yourself and you want to make it a reality, when you look at it from the short-term perspective, maybe just the next 6 to 12 months, what would you say really are those biggest targets for you, the revenue, the milestones that you have set for yourself?
Wow, that is a really good question. I think if we're going to get specific in the next 6 to 12 months, we are having we'll talk about different types of coaching that we're doing within our hybrid. When it comes to turnout, so let's talk about this. So our big picture, right, is to give people clarity to coaching or fitness at their fingertips, depending on where they're at, if it's in person or online. Now, with that, we are trying to grow our industry or our specific business into the industry of this hybridized style of coaching. We average 15 to 20 people at each event, depending on where we're located. So I'd like to see up to 30 or 40 individuals per event. The reason why is it's big enough that you can connect with a lot of people, but small enough where it feels intimate. We're doing that once a month here up and all the way in the next 6 to 12 months with several locations around specifically Colorado. But if we're going to expand into other territories and things along those lines, like we've done in the past, I'd like to see the same turnouts. It's just making sure that we have our key areas. So we have done Texas specifically, we've done Guatemala specifically, internationally, and then also Colorado. But if we're going to expand into two other areas or markets, we have an idea like San Diego or New York City are really good hotspots as well from just looking at AI and the data that we're seeing from the market trends within fitness. So our goal is to expand to two areas additionally to where we're currently at, continue to have an average of 30 to 40 people per event. And then additionally to that is being able to, as I mentioned, pay the people who are leading these events. So that's where what we're trying to do is really continue to build that in the next 6 to 12 months. But it depends on a couple situations, but we're looking forward to the opportunities.
Absolutely. And also considering that there is still some aspect of your work that is done in person, I'm just curious, looking at the future, how much of the business would you like to see coming from the online versus the in-person world?
Great question. So I think 80% of our revenue currently comes from online coaching, whereas 20%, just because if we think about it, it's like once a month, like our income isn't
Yeah.
coming directly from that. So I would still like to keep that ratio because we are utilizing data and really clarity to coaching within our system very well. But the community aspect, I think, has the potential to grow to 30% of our revenue based on our predictions from the last 2 years. The question is, do we want to fully send into that? So that's the question is, and I think about it all the time. So I don't know the answer to it directly, but I think that's the direction we are for sure heading just because like we talked about, people are looking for community, people are looking for opportunities, and that just is like the introduction to, hey, like you could do this once a month or twice a month and also still continue with our coaching in the meantime. Because when it comes to results, like you said earlier, the consistency matters. And we know because we message so many people every single day of just checking in where they're at, whether it's, where's your mental state, where's your physical state, all of these things. We know that there is we still need to daily check in with them. It's just if we can expand into more areas and grow the community aspect, we'd love to do that. But it's making sure we are still nailing it every time. We're really trying to make sure that the experience is exactly what they get there for. If you're in the Colorado area, just they can message me about any events coming up. But other areas, if you follow our social media and things along those lines, they can stay updated with that as well.
Yeah, Austin, one thing that I really appreciate is your transparency throughout the whole conversation because this is what is funny to me when it comes to business. No matter whether you've been running the business for 2 years or 15 or 25 years, there is always going to be these moments where somebody asks you a question and you're like, you know what? I still have to figure that one out.
Oh,
Like
totally.
there's
Yeah.
always something that you stumble upon. So I love those conversations. But this is a beautiful operation that you have going on, and I can definitely see the future of you impacting even more and more people. So I love that, and I also love the fact that you decided to take some time out of your day and share this story
Of
with me
course.
and the audience. Now, if anybody from those listeners would like to get in touch, what is the best way to go about it?
They could visit our website at fitwave.com. It's www.fittwave.com. Otherwise, they can follow us on social media at Fitwave Coaching for Instagram, Facebook. And then if you want to connect with me specifically, you can check out our Instagram at That Physique Coach on Instagram. It's different than it's not like Fit Wave Coach. It's That Physique Coach, where you can see our client results. You can see all the funny stuff that I post. Know that I am a real human being, and we understand like weight loss, fat loss, and group and community based fitness is not as black and white as a lot of people think. There's a lot of gray area, and we address a lot of those things, those unknowns. So if you have questions or anything along those lines, message me or reach out, and I'd love to chat.
Yeah. My man, thank you again for your time. It was a great conversation. Pleasure to have
Th-
you
Thank you. I really appreciate your time, and that's amazing. You lost 100 pounds, my man. That is wild.
on. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. Now, to
Cool.
our listeners, if today's conversation inspired you as well, make sure to subscribe to Founders Future on your favorite platform. And also, if you're a business owner, more specifically a consultant or a coach, or you have an agency and you're trying to scale the business and really enhance both your sales and marketing efforts, also visit closers.io, get in touch with our team, and discover how exactly we scaled our company from zero to over 30 million per year in less than 3 years. Until then, keep on crushing it, and I'll see you on the next one.